On the beautiful Mediterranean island of Zakynthos stood a Greek villa waiting to be loved.
Its owners had grown old and could no longer take care of it.
This is the story of how it's slowly being brought back to life.
This is Saving Sweet William.
The last time we saw Chris and Joe, they had just touched down in Athens on their whirlwind Greek house viewing tour. Let's catch up with them now.
We arrived in Athens on Friday evening with a nervous excitement in the air. We couldn't wait to see the houses, but we knew that there was little room for error in the itinerary and that we had to be back for a special family meal on Sunday at lunchtime.
The car hire was waiting for us at the exit and the car was parked right by the door. The whole process was quick and easy and we were soon on our way on the highway surrounding Athens, destination Kyllini ferry port.
We stopped to grab a rather unglamorous petrol station baguette somewhere just outside of Athens before setting off into the night on the long road that leads from the Greek capital to the Ionian coast.
We arrived at the Airbnb we had booked near Kyllini ferry port around 11:30 p.m, greeted by a rather bemused lady and her daughter. We explained that we were catching an early ferry and thanked them for letting us in so late in the evening.
I guess they don't get many guests in the middle of winter. We set several alarms between 6 and 6:30 a.m. and went to try and get as much sleep as we could before the mission resumed.
Saturday morning arrived. We jumped up, quickly showered and then set off towards the ferry port. It had obviously been raining during the night, but it didn't seem too bad this morning.
We arrived at an almost deserted ferry port. This did not look good. Chris approached the ticket desk to inquire about where the ferry would be leaving from. The news was not good.
I'm very sorry, but the 745 ferry is cancelled because of bad weather. The next one is due to leave at 11:45, but only if the weather improves.
Instantly, I knew that our original plan was now impossible. There was no way we could account for a 4-hour delay and still make the plane home. That was assuming that there would even be a ferry at 11:45.
If the weather got worse, then the delay would be longer. We decided to head back to the Airbnb to think about the options and figure out costs and what we were going to do.
They looked at many weather forecasts and maps to try to figure out if there was any chance of the 11:45 ferry actually sailing. The owner of the Airbnb wasn't too hopeful of the weather improving. They were faced with two choices: drive back to Athens, spend the day sightseeing, having dinner, and then catch the plane they'd booked home, or wait it out in the Airbnb, hoping the next ferry would sail, but knowing that they would miss their flight home. The decision was made.
Turning back now was not an option. We had to wait until the weather improved. Whether that meant we got the 11:45, the 2:45, or even the 7:45, we had to do this.
We headed back out around 9:30 a.m. to find somewhere to get a coffee and see if it looked like the weather was going to improve. It continued to rain hard, but we had to remain hopeful that the ferry would still sail.
We headed back to the port, which was now busier than it was when we first arrived. The ticket office were hopeful of a sailing and issued us with new tickets. We walked up and down the seafront, passing the time by trying to learn Greek phrases.
Slowly, a bright yellow boat began to appear on the horizon. As it got closer, the logo Levante Ferries became visible, and they knew that the next part of the adventure was about to begin.
We quickly found out that boarding a ferry in Greece was nothing like boarding a ferry in the UK. As the ferry approached the port, it was like a scene from Wacky Races as cars, vans and lorries jostled for position. We also discovered that you can literally turn up right until the minute the ferry is due to leave. Organised chaos, but it works.
We had spoken to the agents, who had kindly agreed to rearrange our appointments. The mission was back on, albeit with no flight home scheduled.
The plan was to meet the agent in the car park of Little, a landmark close to the house, albeit not a very glamorous location. This humble little supermarket was the starting point for what was to follow.
We arrived at Villa Sweet William at around 1:45 p.m. The area felt calm and peaceful.
I see it in your eyes. I can read the signs. You need to get away. It's time we make a change. Oh, you know you'll always have me. Baby, I will always stay with you. So put your trust in me. We'll work it out, you'll see. If we get in a car and drive someplace far, yeah, we could go for a ride. The two of us, we don't have to stop. Baby, let's go for a ride. You and I, let us run away. We can go where we want. I'll have your back if you'll have mine. You and I wanna leave everything behind. If you wanted to, promise you we will be alright. If it's you and I want you to myself. We can stay in hotels, just living off the edge. Only good times ahead. So let me put a smile upon your face. Maybe make your worries go away. So put your trust in me. We'll work it out, you'll see. If we get in a car and drive someplace far, yeah, we could go for a ride. You and I, let us run away. We can go where we want. I'll have your back if you'll have mine. You and I wanna leave everything behind. If you wanted to, promise you we will be alright. If it's you and I.
The next stop was a short drive towards a resort called Kalamaki.
This apartment was what most people would think of when choosing a holiday home. Simple, modern and clean apartment in a well-maintained block with a communal pool. Nothing at all wrong with that, but probably not what we were looking for.
I'll have your back if you'll have mine. You and I. You and I, let us run away. We can go where we want.
Which is number 6.
Okay.
I'll have your back if you'll have mine. You and I.
They then headed south. A 25-minute drive took them to an area called Vasilikos, where the next agent was waiting.
We met the next agent close to a restaurant we knew called Dapia's house. We were expecting to visit a small house close by, but first he had some land that was for sale to show us. The funny thing was, he didn't quite know how much land was for sale or exactly where it was. He just knew that it was around here, somewhere, and we could build a house or a hotel maybe.
Okay. No. Yeah, I think so.
Sounds interesting. Maybe we'll head on to the next house.
Price-wise, this house was in between Sweet William and the new build in Kalamaki, but it was strange.
No garden, and the only way in was through a driveway to the main house, which was right next door. It seemed like some kind of concrete granny annex. A couple of rooms had no windows at all, and the toilet was outdoors. We tried to keep an open mind, but I think we both ruled it out instantly.
And so, all of the properties had been seen. There was about an hour left until the ferry was due to leave, so they went for a quick walk on one of the local beaches before driving back to get one last look at Villa Sweet William.
Then we went to the local Lidl where we met the agent that morning and got some snacks and just went and
starving.
sat outside the house, just taking in the area really. No, it was really quiet, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really peaceful, and it was nice to just kind of stop for a moment. It had all been like so chaotic, just to stop and regroup.
Take a breath.
Yeah, have something to eat and just sit and just be there in the moment and just talk to each
Looking
other.
at the house.
Looking at the house, just sitting and taking everything in, the olive trees, the greenery, the birds chirping. Yeah, it was a real special moment to go back and sort of think, yeah, we think this could be something exciting.
Next stop was the ferry port, where the ferry leaves. When the ferry leaves Zante, all you can see is the island in the distance, and the sun is always setting behind it, so it always gives it a nice glow, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The sky has a lovely colour, and
The sun glistens on the harbour, and it kind of brings everything to light as it's going down. Although it's becoming dark, it makes everything just sort of have this really warm glow about it.
it's all backlit, so it's like the silhouettes of the churches and things like that. It just looks really pretty.
Yeah, it is really enchanting. Well, we had the 3-hour, 18-minute drive back to Athens, and we were absolutely shattered, weren't we? Absolutely shattered.
We booked into a hotel at Athens airport to get about 4
4 hours sleep.
And then we was up again to catch the flight back to Heathrow, even though we'd parked at Gatwick.
It was the only flight that day that we could get on, and we needed to get home. We had a special family birthday and children to get home to, so we had to be on that flight, didn't we?
That's right. And then I remember sitting on that coach back from Heathrow to Gatwick, thinking about everything. We was pretty tired, wasn't we? So we wasn't saying much, but I think by that time we'd kind of made our minds up about what we wanted to do.
There was just such, like, we both felt it. There was just a really great vibe, and there was excitement in the air as to what we could do and how lovely it would be, and the memories that we could make with our families. It was all just sort of simmering away under the surface, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, there's always that thing, like we was actually thinking, should we wait a bit longer to see what else comes up, if anything else comes up on the market, but like, how long do you wait?
No, and it just felt like such an opportunity, didn't it? And sometimes that you've just got to be really brave and grab that moment and just do it.
So we did. On the Monday morning, we sent the offer to the estate agent and crossed our fingers.
We did.
The adventure drew to a close, and they waited patiently, or rather impatiently, for news from Greece. Find out what happened in the next episode of Saving Sweet William. If you enjoyed our show, please feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you.